If you could speak directly to Elon Musk, what would you say?
Golf.
That's it.
Yes, Democrat Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. If you could speak directly to Elon Musk, the wealthiest man in the world, a senior federal government official, what would you say to him? I cannot repeat out loud what she said. It was a curse word. But when you're Jasmine Crockett, that's okay. That's just fine. She didn't fight authority, therefore, just amazing stuff. Our Democrat Party, I think I'll not keep them. I don't understand why anyone would be a member of the Democratic Party at this point, knowing, of course, that the Democratic Party isn't. That is to say, isn't democratic at all. I did see this morning that Jake Tapper, longtime Democrat Party operative, CNN anchor, who rose to journalistic fame by way of dating Monica Lewinsky, who is in the news again today, just coincidentally. But a remarkable thing, they got Brian Seltzerwater. You know Seltzerwater, Humpty Dumpty, they all fall down. Brian Seltzer, I think he's back at CNN, right? They fired him, then they hired him back, something like that, because they couldn't live without him, because they need a doughy, pudgy white guy sitting around getting everything wrong, as though they don't have enough of those. But Seltzerwater on his Twitter today types, my friend Marty shared it with me. CNN anchor Jake Tapper and Axios correspondent Alex Thompson are co-authoring a book about Biden called Original Sin, : they do love their colons. President Biden's decline, its cover-up, and his disastrous choice to run again. That's the name. That's a really long title for a book, isn't it? That's they just can't shut up, these people. So here's Jakester Jake Mobile Tapper, former Democrat Capitol Hill staffer, of course, and Alex Thompson, and they're both Democrat Party operatives posing as journalists. They don't believe in journalism. They believe in being, bootlicks for the Democrat Party. And they have this book about Joe Biden, which is, I guess, supposed to be a clever title, Original Sin, : President Biden's decline, its cover-up, which you guys both participated in, which is why no one should believe word one in your phony, corrupt, filthy book. There's nothing true in it because, and they haven't even started writing it yet. They, as far as I know, it's the book is not out, but they are co-authoring. So they're sitting down, I don't know, maybe at a grammar school next to the condom machines and writing their book, Original Sin, President Biden's Decline, which I knew all about. Its cover-up, which you participated in, but I didn't. I don't think I'm going to take your word for anything from that point forward. And his disastrous choice to run again. Gee, that's not what you reported at the time. I recall quite clearly. I was paying close attention, unlike you. Amazing stuff. So that's what they got going. And keep in mind, of course, that Jake Tapper, a former Democrat congressional aide, remarkable thing, to Marjorie Margolis Mezvinsky. Marjorie Margolis Mezvinsky, who's a Democrat from Pennsylvania, and Jake Tapper, she's a member of House of Representatives. Jake Tapper worked for her on Capitol Hill, and you might also recall, though you might not, that she was married to another member of Congress named Edward Mezvinsky, and Edward Mezvinsky, as a member of the House of Representatives, if you go to his Wikipedia page, you'll see criminal activities. Indicted and later pleaded guilty to 31 felony charges of bank fraud, mail fraud, wire fraud. No big deal. He was working as an attorney at the time and funneled, embezzled, and fraudulently obtained money to West Africa. This is great. West African con men after falling victim to online advanced fee scam. So it's like one of these Nigerian princes that jumped in, said, hey, here's a dim-witted Democrat from Pennsylvania. Amazing stuff. Wah, wah, wah. And that's Jake Tapper. Now, he's a journalist in good standing. Man, oh, Manischewitz, I'm telling you. Served time in federal prison, no big deal, and then on probation for years and years after that, and all of that is fine. He still owed $9.4 million in restitution to his victims, but that is Democrat Congressman Edward Mezvinsky, married to the woman that Jake Tapper worked for in Congress, Marjorie Margolis Mezvinsky, and their son married Chelsea Clinton, because it's all a circle fest and a hot tub, isn't it? Yes, it is. These guys. So they got a book out. Be sure to not buy it and not read it, because you can't believe anything they say. They participated in the cover-up of Joe Biden's mental decline, and now they're writing a book about how bad it was that there was a cover-up, because were it not for double standards, liberals would have no standards at all. Aren't they amazing? Yes, they are. Now, it is Wednesday, and that means that it's Mailbag Day here on the Chris Plante Show. But before I get to that, there's something else I want to get to, and it has to do with self-immolation. The last count that I pulled together, I believe 7 Democrats have self-immolated just in the last couple of years. I think it started at the Supreme Court on Earth Day, maybe 3 years ago now. It might have been 2 Earth Days ago, might have been 3 Earth Days ago. But a Democrat came in, I believe, from Colorado, and it was Earth Day, and he was concerned that people were putting too much smoke in the air. So he went to the Supreme Court, drenched himself in gasoline, set himself on fire, killed himself to protest people putting smoke in the air. And they well, that's the Supreme Court one, right? You have the Supreme Court one? Oh, I apologize. 2022. Well, it was Earth Day 2022. My apologies. Michael held up a note across the way, but it was too small. I couldn't read it, the writing. That's too thick. But never mind that. So it's 2022. Thank you. That the environmentalist committed suicide by way of self-immolation at the U.S. Supreme Court, right in the plaza in front, and he died. It took him a couple of days, actually. I would not recommend this as a form of protest, although a lot of Democrats have done it. And then we had, let's go to the, because this is completely nuts, the guy, he was in the Air Force. He was a Democrat. The Air Force was taking Democrats at that time. And a Democrat who was a member of the United States Air Force went to the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C., which I'd say is about 1 mile from this radio station. And Aaron Bushnell was his name. And Aaron Bushnell went to the Israeli embassy on February 25th of 2024. That's about a year ago. Just, what? Hey, wait a minute. Today is February 12th. Oh, yeah, of course, because yesterday was the 1-year anniversary, naturally. They were celebrating. The Democrats were celebrating. 25-year-old Air Force member of the United States Air Force went to the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C., and he set up a phone to make video of him yelling his last words of protest as he drenched himself in flammable liquid, I think gasoline, and set himself on fire while yelling like this.
And I will no longer be complicit in genocide.
No longer. That's for sure.
I'm about to engage in an extreme act of protest.
You think?
But compared to what people have been experiencing in Palestine at the hands of their colonizers, it's not extreme at all.
Colonizers. No, it is. It is extreme.
This is what our ruling class has decided.
Ruling class.
Free Palestine! Hey. Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine! Man's on fire! Man's on fire!
Now the police who the Democrats want to defund were running toward him, yelling, he's on fire, and they tried to put him out. And he's screaming, free Palestine, right? Because the Democrat Party, they're very, very unwell. And the craziest thing in the world happened yesterday when a gang of liberals, they call themselves liberals, went out and had a protest. They had a big protest chanting in favor of Aaron Bushnell on the 1-year anniversary of his self-immolation. And I think there were about 6 million of them, about 6 million. There weren't really, but there were a bunch of Democrats who showed up and were chanting what Aaron Bushnell was yelling after he set himself on fire. And and listen to this one woman with a really screechy, obnoxious voice. She should, even if you're part of the protest, you should say, okay, I'm glad you're here but would you just please shut up because your voice is so annoying?
I will be no longer complicit in genocide. I am about to engage in an extreme act of protest compared to what people have been experiencing in Palestine at the hands of the colonizer.
Listen to them. It's not extreme at all. They're chanting what he yelled at because 1 year ago yesterday, he yelled that stuff and he self-immolated at the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. And so a gang of Democrats decided, well, it's the 1 year anniversary. We should go out and honor him, shouldn't we? We should. And they did this in Washington, D.C. yesterday on the 1 year anniversary of Aaron Bushnell's self-immolation. And they couldn't be more proud of themselves with their lame chant. And they are, Kamala Harris voters, Joe Biden voters, Barack Obama voters, Hillary Clinton voters. The Democrat Party, maybe we should be deporting them or something, maybe mass deportations for the entire Democrat Party, because that is very unwell. And they are, they're out there. Now, you're known by the company you keep and all that. Just amazing. And the Democrats are out here in solidarity with Gaza. Gaza. Yes, sir. Because U.S. airmen who self-immolated in solidarity with Gaza commemorated outside Israeli embassy. Aaron Bushnell remembered on first anniversary of his death, the news media has. A memorial service was held for Aaron Bushnell, a U.S. Air Force serviceman who self-immolated in response to Israel's attack on the Gaza Strip. It wasn't really an Israeli attack on the Gaza Strip. They had hundreds of hostages taken by the troglodytes from hell, and they were defending themselves. But the left, they don't understand the meaning of words anymore. On the first anniversary of his death on Tuesday, a group gathered in front of the Israeli embassy and at the White House in Washington, D.C. to honor Aaron Bushnell, surrounding his poster with flowers and candles. They love candles, don't they? Those burn as well. Just amazing stuff. In February of 2024, that's last year, this month, Bushnell, 25 years old, set himself on fire in front of the Israeli embassy to protest Israeli attacks on Gaza. That's not really what happened. It's not really an Israeli. They were defending themselves and trying to rescue hostages and things like that. But the left, they love the hostage taker, not the hostage. Aren't they amazing? Yes, they are. Now, I got to say, American media is not really covering this. The Middle East media, they're covering the story. But our media is not, because they don't want to reveal the Democrat Party because they're members of the Democrat Party. They called a memorial service and they chanted his final words. They love turning things into chants. They're really something. You're a Democrat Party. And then there have been a great many self-immolations since then. The Israeli consulate in Atlanta, in front of the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas just weeks ago, in an Elon Musk Tesla vehicle. Democrats there have been more self-immolations by Democrats in the last couple of years in the United States than there were by Buddhist monks during the entire Vietnam War. That's true. There were 6 Vietnamese monks that self-immolated during the Vietnam War. Went on for a decade and a half. Democrats in just a couple of years have surpassed that. It is a mental illness. You know that the all-new third-generation Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier has finally arrived, and it builds on the incredible success of the previous 2 generations, which quickly became bestsellers, thousands of 5-star reviews on Al Gore's amazing internet. The new thunderstorm uses two technologies that studies have shown help to kill up to 99.9% of bacteria and viruses floating in the air. Removes dust and pet dander and smoke and all kinds of nastiness. Helps get rid of any odor. With no filters to replace again and again like some air purifiers, the thunderstorm will help get rid of any stinky smell. Guaranteed. Litter boxes, smelly shoes, left-wing protesters. This week only, buy one thunderstorm and get one thunderstorm for free. No matter how many you buy, you get an equal number for free. Put one in your bedroom, your family room, your kitchen, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com and use the discount code ChrisBogo. That's CHRIS, and buy one, get one. BOGO, right? To get one free. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is ChrisBogo. Yes, sir. Yeah, the Democrats, I don't know, condoms in kindergarten and praising self-immolating anti-Semites, mainstream of the Democrat Party. Something wrong with these people. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at WashingtonTimes.com/Chris. Michael, we were just, during the break, Michael found video, audio of a Democrat self-immolating at the Trump hush money trial in New York. Guy went to the Trump trial on it was a non-disclosure agreement, which the Democrats wanted to make illegal. So they did, because they're like communists. And then a Democrat showed up outside the courthouse.
We have a man who he has set fire to himself. A man has emblazoned himself outside of the courthouse just now. Our cameras are turning right now. A man has now lit himself on fire outside of the courthouse in Manhattan, where we are waiting for history to be made. A full jury panel is
history
gone.
To be made.
We are watching a man who is fully emblazoned in the front of the courthouse
fully
today.
Emblazoned. He's emblazoned. I think his jacket was emblazoned, but he was up in flames. That was Maxwell Azzarello. Maxwell Silverhammer. Let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Steve calling from Sarasota, Florida. Steven, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris. You know how we have National Half Sour Pickle Day and all this stuff? Can't we just have National Democrat Leftist Self-Immolation Day? Like every year, since they made it like a yearly thing now, I think its time has come. I don't know.
That's an interesting idea. It's true. We do have Rutabaga Day and Sliced Pickle Day and all that. So why don't we have it? We could name it after the Democrat that self-immolated at the Israeli embassy, Aaron Bushnell. We could call it Aaron Bushnell Day. Yeah, and a Democrat self-immolating the Trump trial in New York, self-immolating the Israeli consulate in Atlanta. They're everywhere, at Las Vegas at the Trump Hotel. Now, speaking of the Washington Post, I know we weren't speaking of the Washington Post. Who would speak of the Washington Post? But my friend and fun Washington journalist, Matthew Foldy, tweeting this morning, Jeff Bezos, the centibillionaire owner of the Washington Post. Jeff Bezos is about to blow up the Washington Post, Matthew Foldy writes. Memo to Post staff, quote, we are going to be writing every day in support and defense of two pillars, love their colons, personal liberties and free markets. Viewpoints opposing those pillars will be left to be published by others. Wow. How about that? That's pretty crazy. Jeff Bezos has tweeted out to his editorial board, but there is more because the story is developing even as we sit here. And now what we're learning, again, thanks to Elon Musk and X, which practices free speech. Here's the left-wing radicals at Mediaite. Jeff Bezos announces resignation of Washington Post opinion editor over new editorial mandate. Right. In stunning statement. It's a stunning statement. That's somewhat lyrical, too, isn't it? Stunning statement. I think that's nice. Jeff Bezos, the billionaire founder of Amazon and owner of the Washington Post, announced that he would be taking the storied newspaper in a new direction. What, they'll be pro-Western, pro-freedom? That would be a new direction. That's true. So a billionaire founder taking a new direction that has compelled his editorial page editor to resign in a stunning statement released on Wednesday. Pretty amazing stuff. I shared this note with the Washington Post team this morning, Bezos said on Elon Musk's platform, before sharing a text of his address to employees. I'm writing to let you know about a change coming to our opinion pages. Now, they lost, what did they lose? $78 million last year, I think. And even when you got hundreds of billions of dollars, when you got an enterprise, you're probably in business to be in business. You lose $78 million, maybe you want to take a look at your business model. Just a thought. Don't want to talk out of line here. He said, we're going to be writing every day in support and defense of two pillars: personal liberties and free markets. We'll cover other topics too, of course, but viewpoints opposing those pillars will be left to be published by others. There was a time when a newspaper, especially one that was a local monopoly, might have seen it as a service to bring to the reader's doorstep every morning a broad-based opinion selection that sought to cover all views. Today, the internet does that job, so no more of that all views stuff at the Washington Post. I am of America and for America, and proud to be so. This is Jeff Bezos. He's never said this stuff before. Kind of amazing. I am of America and for America, and proud to be so. Our country did not get here by being typical. That's entirely true. And a big part of America's success has been freedom in the economic realm and everywhere else. Freedom is ethical. Oh, thanks for noticing. You're about 20 years behind at a bare minimum, maybe a couple of 100 years behind. It minimizes coercion and practical. It drives creativity, invention, and prosperity. Sure. I offered David Shipley, whom I greatly admire, the opportunity to lead this new chapter. I suggested to him that if the answer wasn't hell yes, then it had to be no. After careful consideration, David decided to step away. That's why they call him Shipley. This is a significant shift. It won't be easy, and it will require 100% commitment. Yeah, most of you should be 100% committed. I respect his decision. So he's stepping down, head of the editorial board at the Washington Post. Gone. We'll be searching for a new opinion editor to own this new direction. I'm confident that free markets and personal liberties are right for America. Listen to him. He sounds like he bought an American flag or something. I also believe these viewpoints are underserved in the current market of ideas and news opinions. I think you're right about that. I'm excited for us together to fill that void. They're going to fill that void. That void will be filled by the Washington Post. He sees a void and he wants to fill it. Bezos' exercise of greater control over the Post's journalism, this is the Mediaite people, left-wing radicals writing, in recent months has raised eyebrows. He owns the paper. Get over yourself. What did he send an email saying, list 5 things you did last week? Oh, no, we're all going to have to resign. So his exercise of control over the Post journalism in recent months has raised eyebrows. They don't think owners should be in charge of things that they own. Last fall, a number of prominent Post writers and alumni criticized Bezos for preventing the paper's editorial board from endorsing Kamala Harris for president, writing in an op-ed that Presidential endorsements do nothing to tip the scales of an election and create a perception of bias. I'm just reading from the script here. That's how it reads. I think that's it. So I got that. So they're very upset, and Jeff Bezos wants to sound like an American. I don't know what happened to Jeff Bezos, but he better increase security because the Democrat Party's not going to like any of this. That's pretty amazing stuff, I've got to say. Wait a minute, free markets? Huh? That is nuts. You can't go around saying things like that. Personal liberties? Free markets? That's almost American. Dare I say? American. A newspaper? Now, this won't last because the pond at the Washington Post has already been well stocked with people that will object to this. I mean, again, you see the head of the editorial board, who he picked to become the head of, was so outraged by the idea, the very suggestion that you would be in favor of personal freedoms and free markets. Wow, that the guy resigned. I will not stand for this personal liberties and free market stuff. I am so out of here. I'm packing up my AK-47 bag and I am gone. Your Democrat Party. What's the matter you people? Just amazing. I don't know why that reminded me of the cannibal that they're letting free. Do you see the cannibal? The Democrats have a cannibal. Where's that cannibal? He's in Connecticut. Why is there a cannibal in Connecticut? He's a killer cannibal. And they're going to let him out. You see this guy? Because Democrats, they're in favor of cannibalism, I think. Pretty amazing stuff. They're going to let him free. It's a conditional thing, but they're going to let him free anyway. Cannibal killer. Just amazing stuff. I don't think he's walked out yet of the mental institution where he's been, but the Democrats, they want more. That's what they want. Yes, sir. That is. The New York Post has the story, but the Washington Post doesn't. Connecticut cannibal killer. They have that in quotation marks. I wouldn't say he's a cannibal killer if I were writing this in a journalistic document. I'd say that he's a killer cannibal, because cannibal killer sounds like he goes around killing cannibals, right? He'd have to go to Haiti, and find barbecue over there. But the New York Post had the story, cannibal killer, Connecticut cannibal killer. That has a lot of alliteration. Granted conditional release, decade after eating homeless victim's eye and brain. It wasn't his whole brain, to be fair. It was only a part of the brain. A confessed killer institutionalized after murdering a homeless man and eating parts of his body in a Connecticut cemetery. That seems appropriate, doesn't it? Could soon be walking among us once again, and local politicians are none too happy about it. I think the Democrats are fine with it, though. Tyree Smith, dubbed the cannibal killer, again, perhaps semantically imprecise, by local journalists, was granted a conditional release by the, and this is kind of crazy, the Nutmeg State's Psychiatric Security Review Board. Now you know why they call it the Nutmeg State, meaning that he'll be allowed to leave the Connecticut Valley Hospital in Middletown, Connecticut, for supervised jaunts. They say that he had an alcohol and drug problem, but now that he's in a mental institution, he can't get drunk, but he'll be able to when he leaves. And I bet he can't wait. Hey, happy hour. Why do you think they call it happy hour? And he'll be off of his antipsychotic drugs. So when they let him go, that should be different.
They called him Uncle Bozy. Flew single-engine planes, reconnaissance flights over New Guinea. He had volunteered because someone couldn't make it. He got shot down in an area where there were a lot of cannibals in New Guinea at the time.
Remember, Joe Biden, his Uncle Bozy, was going to be eaten by cannibals in Papua New Guinea. Turned out the whole story was completely fake. He made it up like so much else. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, so the decision was made in Connecticut by Democrats after doctors who have been treating Smith said that he has been fully rehabilitated thanks to medications that quelled the voices in his head. But when he's let go, he's not going to have to take those medications. Oh, thank God I don't have to take these things anymore. Now I can just go down to, the Ducey's bar and drink my brains out while I'm not on my antipsychotic medication. And then maybe I'll just take a stroll over to the cemetery where maybe I'll meet some people in a cemetery, like Night of the Living Dead, the beginning of Night of the Living Dead, right? M-E-8-E, M-E-80. Yeah, I'd quote the director, he says he's a joy, the cannibal. He says he's a joy. He's considered a support to the other people there. You can imagine what kind of nut house this is, where the cannibal is the guy helping people through their difficult times. Just great. However, Republican state senator Paul Chiarella says he doesn't buy it. You got to note that he's a Republican, because all the Democrats are like, oh yeah, let the cannibal go. Let him go. Let him drink. Let him do everything he wants to do. Pretty amazing stuff. That's part of the Democrat Party, too. The guy's definitely a Democrat. You just look at him. You got a picture of him? There he is. He's a Democrat. No doubt about it. Remarkable stuff. Yes, sir. And in the meantime, since we're talking about journalism, is that what we're talking about? Another story, too, out of the White House Correspondents. The Breitbart people have the story. White House Correspondents president is the president of the White House Correspondents Association, Eugene Daniels, to join far-left MSNBC. That's the headline. They mean MSDNC, of course. White House Correspondents Association president Eugene Daniels is reportedly departing Politico and set to join MSNBC, where he will co-host a weekend roundtable show. In a post on X, Dylan Byers, a founding partner and senior correspondent at Puck News, wrote that Eugene would be leaving Politico, where he currently serves as Politico chief playbook correspondent and a White House correspondent and president of the White House Correspondents Association. And he has been fighting against the Trump administration because they are limiting some access by some news organizations because of their record of disinformation and misinformation and political gibberish. It's gibberish, I tell you. So political White House correspondent and White House Correspondents Association president Eugene Daniels is leaving Politico to join MSDNC. And he's like, hey, we're not biased, White House Correspondents Association. You can't say we're biased. I'm quitting to go work at MSNBC because Pravda was all booked up, I guess. Isn't that amazing? So in his final statement, he establishes unambiguously that he is politically hardcore left and corrupt and journalistically dishonest. And as the White House Correspondents Association president, amazing, amazing stuff. So that's where he's going. Man, oh, Manischewitz, I'm telling you. What a business the journalism business is. All right, and it's mailbag day. Look at the time already. I can't believe it. I'm going to get to mailbag. I have my mailbag questions right in front of me, right here. And it is mailbag day. Mailbag day. I keep trying to get to it earlier and keep failing. I'll get to it at the top of the, right after we get out of the news. Crazy stuff. Tesla owners face heightened tension, threats in current D.C. climate. That's because of Democrats, because of violent criminals that vote Democrat. And the local CBS station has the story on that. You drive a Tesla. Here's a guy with a rainbow Tesla truck, and people are mean to me because I drive a Tesla. They're lefties. Lefties are mean to them because lefties are all violently, criminally insane. Put it in a nutshell. Right there in a nutshell. All right, let's go back to the telephones. Here's the mailbag. I have it right here. Let's go to John, calling from Fairfax, Virginia. Oh, John, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, wow, I can't believe I actually got on. Awesome. How are you doing?
Very, very well. Having fun?
So my father and me have a furniture store in Alexandria. He's run it for 45 years, and it's always been American-made only. And basically, I think that Trump should increase the tariff on China because it's just too cheap. It's all full of chemicals, cancer, and would actually maybe increase manufacturing back in America. Because right now in North Carolina, they're not really building anything like they used to.
Is that right?
If you go to the furniture market in High Point, most of the buildings that used to be factories are now showrooms for Chinese manufacturers.
Cut it out. Is that right? I'm very sorry to hear that. I tell you, we've got 2 couches, an L-shaped couch in our living room, and they're made in North Carolina. I like to find things made in North Carolina. We just moved, and I like to try to find North Carolina. Our carpeting, our wool rugs, North Carolina. Our couches, North Carolina. And you're right, the Chinese stuff, I mean, that would really hurt IKEA, I think, to make it harder on China. But you're right, filled with all kinds of nasty toxins and chemicals and stuff, right?
Yeah, the flame retardants and formaldehyde glues and pretty much everything that's terrible.
Can you say retardants on the radio?
I think so, but
I think
you never
so.
know these days.
You never know these days. Now, John, you have your family furniture store. Your father, and you've been running for more than 4 decades.
And I named my son Roe after a furniture manufacturer in Virginia.
Is that right?
I'm kind of in it to win it.
And we got what is that? BDI. My television table is BDI. That's made in Virginia, right?
I'm not familiar with that manufacturer, but I do a lot of Amish. So I got a lot of
I love that too.
Indiana, Mennonites too.
Real quick, what's the name of your family store?
Warehouse Showroom.
Warehouse Showroom. That's right to the point. Thank you for the suggestion.